Welcome to Avoiding Chores Friday Night Hangout, our weekly maritime kitchen party on the Google Plus Hangouts and on our Best of podcast. I'm Jim Cyr, and tonight we'll be going over a few topics from the past week, what we're drinking tonight, and a round of plus ones, which is stuff we saw online that we want to talk about. Joining me tonight on the panel, another slim panel because it is summertime. We got from Cape Breton, we got Carrie tonight. Good evening, Carrie.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
And basically the main topics tonight is that Halifax can't seem to do snow clearing, line painting, and now mowing the grass. Our maritime story tonight is New Brunswick Liquor will go out of business if people can buy booze in Quebec. And our weird story for tonight, which is we'll talk a little bit about Ashley Madison and what a mess that is. But first, let's start off the show proper, which is what we are drinking tonight. So I will start off with Carrie to show us what he is drinking tonight and give us little details on the beer. So Carrie, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Boxing Rock Bottle Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
Nice beer. It's light, 5% alcohol. Nice yellowy color. It's one of those beers you'd like to have on a nice warm summer day. It just fits right into that style. Flavors nice. It's not too overpowering for the rye ale. And I'm not getting any really striking taste to it. It just tastes like a good beer. That's all.
All right, excellent. From Boxing Rock, was it Bottle Betty?
The Bottle Blonde.
Bottle Blonde. All right, good stuff.
The Bottle Blonde.
All right, and I am drinking from friends at Picaroons, which is the Imperial Pilsner, the Feels Good, which is a 7% Imperial Pilsner. Now, I think this is more an American Pilsner. It has a very nice golden color to it, moderate carbonization. Has a very nice Pilsner, of course, taste. It has a little bit of malt in it here. A very easy drinking beer. And Imperial Pilsner is not quite an official beer style, but because it is at 7%. But it has enough of your standard Pilsner and throws in a few extra North American influences, such as some of the grains and some of the hops. So otherwise, it's a pretty decent beer. It feels good from Picaroons. All right, so we got a number of people watching, or a few people watching us tonight. We are on our last summer schedule for tonight, and which means that we'll take another 2-week break, and we'll be back after the long weekend in September, and we'll resume our weekly schedule. And so you can, folks, if you're watching us, you can interact by using the Friday Night Hangout hashtag. We'll be monitoring Twitter and the YouTube feed tonight because we're a few people here. If you happen to be watching on the Avoiding Chores show page, you can always flip over to the YouTube site and throw a comment in there. And what we'll do here is we're going to start with our first Halifax story for this week, which is Halifax can't seem to mow the grass. And this is a fantastic story that came out just yesterday. Now, for those of you who've been following the Hangout and know how poor job that Halifax City did for snow clearing, sidewalks. There was also a problem with line painting. So they're just getting around to painting the lines, because it is August. Apparently it rained a lot this summer. Who knows? But there's supposed to be a big rugby match this weekend, and Rugby Canada versus Scotland is supposed to be the Battle of Scotland or New Scotland, whatever they were pushing it as. Big to do, big celebration. Argyle Street was going to be shut down. Beer tent, TV. It was going to be on Wanderers Grounds, which is next to the public gardens. I had to look it up where it was. Historically known as a rugby pitch or field. And just 2 days before showtime, the teams from the rugby teams said, no, we're not going to play on the surface, man. It's unsafe. So the only next suitable field, which I guess is not that much better, is way out in Spryfield. So all the activities they had planned for people to walk over from the beer garden, Argyle Street, downtown Halifax to this game will now have to jump on a bunch of buses and go way out to Spryfield for a field that can't accommodate remotely 5,000 people. And you know what? You read some of the articles, and what you're thinking is you're thinking Bush League. You're thinking, wow, don't we have a grass field that can accommodate rugby? Carrie, what do you think? You think Halifax is Bush League? Because I don't think we'll have a major rugby match ever again after this weekend.
Well, that's bad planning on the event organizers. They should have had that looked at weeks ago. I mean, it's simple to get somebody to cut grass. Well, probably not, but I mean, what they should have done is said, okay, here's the pitch. Let's take a look at it. Is it going to be okay for us to use? It would be the same way if the FIFA Cup in Moncton was the same way. You wouldn't play in a poor field, so the event organizers are partly to blame for that, not just the city of Halifax.
Well, here's the funny thing. They approached the city back in May for this. And so apparently the city's been working since June to get the field, but apparently it's a tough job to grow grass. And apparently they brought in a steamroller a couple days ago to try to flatten potholes and then put a call out for volunteers to come and pull out the weeds and take the rocks out of the field. The funniest thing is that this area, Wanderers Grounds, if you go into Wikipedia, I am pretty sure it says that it was used as a rugby field many moons ago. So it's just this irony. But we've mentioned this before, that Halifax does not have proper recreational infrastructure. You know, sure, we got the Oval, which was the big to-do, and they're putting a lot of money into that. But they don't have anything else. The maintenance of ball fields, soccer fields, rugby fields, very poor, very poor. So, you know, it's really hard for organizations to have events, and I don't blame people to being at all miffed as they sit on doing a bus shuttle from Halifax to Spryfield, which is really far down the road. I forget the name of the field, but it was crazy. So
send them to Sydney, because we got that new Open Hearth Park, and it has a couple great soccer fields, a really good football field, area for a bandstand, and it's just pretty good. They moved a lot of the waterfront activities to that park this year for the Action Week, and
right.
The events were pretty good. Not as good as what they thought, because they did change a lot of venues, but the facilities are great.
Okay. Was there not a big rock show?
Nice, new, and grassy.
Was there supposed to be like an outdoor rock show like this year, last year? With Slash?
Last year they had Aerosmith. Aerosmith was there.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, folks. Friday night hangout. Small panel. We're at the last summer schedule show. Next in a couple of weeks, we'll do the regular weekly hangout. Just looking on Twitter here, Trudy from Vancouver or BC says here, I look freshly shaved. The Mach 3 treatment. But no, this is a couple days here. But don't worry, tomorrow it's going to be super glide. Hopefully, Trudy will be joining us this fall once we get into essentially once everybody's back in school. We resume our normal 9-to-5 lives, and Friday nights become suddenly available. Other than that, pretty quiet on the Twitter, folks. If you're watching, you can interact using the Friday Night Hangout hashtag that you see right there. You can comment there. or you can check out YouTube. Carrie, hopefully you were refreshing the YouTube page while I was buying you some time.
Yeah, doing that right now. I'm checking.
Right.
Checking. Still checking. Sorry. Where'd it go?
Carrie, you should know by now. When I start going
comment.
off like this, automatic.
I know that.
Refresh.
I know that. No comments.
All right. Good enough then.
There's 5 people watching though. There's 5 people watching.
Well, hang on. See, now you delayed. Now we dropped one. Now we're down to 4. So we're gonna have to do better.
It's all my fault.
All right, let's move on to the next topic here, which is the maritime focused story, which is it brings us to New Brunswick, where there's an interesting court case going on right now. There's a constitutional fight over beer rights, and you've probably seen this in the news. Basically, a buddy from, I like to say, Caraquet, drove up to Campbellton and crossed the bridge over to Quebec to get himself some cheap booze. Brought over 12 cases of 24 beer and 3 bottles of whiskey. And apparently the police did a sting operation, pulled him over, fined him. Old liquor laws from the past says that you can only bring 12 bottles of beer. And the court case is going on right now, and they're basically saying this is BS. I should be able to buy beer anywhere in Canada and bring it to my house. And I have never heard of this actual limit. I have heard when I was younger that we got to hide beer in the back and all that stuff, but which was funny because we lived on the Quebec border also, and we used to bring back all the empties to Saint Rose, which is past Desjoliers before Cabano, and we would bring back a lot of O'Keefe's and 50 back. And nothing happened to us there. So this archaic law, and of course, anybody who lives around the border with Maine, you're doing a trip, you can bring back beer. So I'm hoping that this court case will kind of wipe this old archaic law. 12 beer to bring over across the border from New Brunswick is kind of silly. But New Brunswick Liquor said, you know what, if people were allowed to bring whatever amount of beer or booze from across the borders, we would be out of business. Outrageous, Carrie. Carrie, what do you think?
No, I agree 100%. It is foolish. It is silly. It's one of those things that is overregulated. If it costs $14 in Quebec, it should cost $14 in New Brunswick because it's the same thing, same product. Mm-hmm. And in most cases, it's made in the same factory. So why are we paying more for something that's the same product? They don't do it with anything else. If there were some other goods apart from gasoline and stuff like that there that are tax dependent, it's just foolish. And I don't think NB Liquor would go out of business. It would probably put them in running with the craft breweries and everybody else, saying that now you have to compete for your business. You better drop the price down a little bit or smarten up.
Well, I seriously doubt people from Fredericton, St. John, and Moncton will drive all the way to Quebec just to buy a couple cases of beer and then come back. Obviously, and there's not that many New Brunswickers along the borders there to really they're really going to make a dent in NB Liquor sales. But for folks who don't quite know the situation here, basically the price list for, I'm just going to look up a price here for New Brunswick. And let's do a domestic beer. Let's do a case of Budweiser. 12 cans of Budweiser in New Brunswick. It is $23.99. $23.99 for 12 cans of Budweiser. And if you want to guess, Carrie, how much would that be in Quebec? Take a guess here. as I buy time.
I'm going at $14.99, $14.98.
All right, let me try to find here some. Let me try to look it up here. My Google wasn't quite as quick there, but okay, let's do Budweiser. Budweiser. Here we go. Just found a typical dépanneur in Quebec. And do we have a price? Do we have a price? Come on. Oh, you know, I don't have a price here. $14.99. It wouldn't make sense. It would be $14.99. Well, let's do Ontario. Maybe we can get beer prices in Ontario.
It'll be almost the same because of the beer store monopoly in Ontario.
Okay. All right. So let's do.
The cheapest price in Canada for a 24 pack of Molson is $26.99, while in Toronto it's $34.99. Alberta, Manitobans pay $40.49. Albertans $44.99. Saskatchewan's $46.49 for 24 cans of beer.
I got a price here. If you can load up here. Computer's slow tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is on a 24 pack. And it is 24 pack is around 24. Yeah, as you said, $24 there. So that's 24. So you can just imagine 12 pack be half the price of that. So
yep.
24 pack of Budweiser is $43.98 in New Brunswick, and it is around $24 in Quebec for the same product. So just as you were saying, Carrie, that's pretty. When it's half price,
you could
go ahead.
You could see if you were in the Northwest Territories where it's $56.65 for a case of beer. I mean, you got to ship it up there. So okay, sure. But when a factory is in New Brunswick, like in Moncton,
yep,
and they're selling beer there and they're making beer there should be no reason why we have to pay more than the lowest price.
Exactly. It's outrageous. I'm so glad I don't live in New Brunswick. Well, hopefully the court case should open things up. But you know what? Government has been saying, we're going to lower these tariffs and interprovincial trade and stuff. And you think they would get to the basic stuff, which is the booze, right?
Yeah, but they're not making it any place else. I mean, apart from the breweries that are in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Quebec, it's the same thing, same product, same recipe, everything else, same bottling, same quantity, same value, but you pay more for it. So why?
Exactly.
God damn it! Why?
Why? I tell you, these questions we can't answer on the Hangout, but maybe you can, folks, if you're watching Friday Night Hangout. Hashtag is what you're going to use. I'm monitoring Twitter. Carrie is monitoring the YouTube page. And we'll check comments here in a bit, but we just wanted to let people know about that. We're going to do a quick recap of what we are drinking tonight. I am drinking from Picaroons, the Feels Good. This is the Imperial Pilsner, 7% beer. Comes with a very nice character from Men in Black. And It's a very nice Pilsner. It's American style Pilsner, so it has a little bit more malt in it, but it still has that Pilsner crispness that you would attribute to it. Very nice, easy drinking beer. It's a shame that I did not buy two of these because I would definitely be cracking open the second one right about now.
Yeah, they are. So that's a really good beer.
Gary,
Pickering's is a really good brewery too.
What are you drinking, Gary?
I'm going to the Vickers Cross.
All right, Vickers Cross.
The double IPA. And I didn't look up my notes, so I'm not just going to say that it's what does the bottle say?
It says
the British soldiers stationed in India received their daily ale rations would never have expected this. All the bitterness and flavor of double IPA standards, remarkably smooth and well balanced, and I like it.
It's a really good beer. I've heard that they've been tweaking the recipe on the Vickers Cross for the last year or so, something to do with the gluten count. I can't confirm this from anywhere else, but that's what one of the people at the private beer stores were saying. So,
if I start sneezing, I like it.
But the double IPA for the Vickers Cross, for those, that is unofficially, I'm sure they'll say officially, in the Nova Scotia liquor stores, pretty much the biggest selling craft beer they have on the shelf. They cannot keep it on the shelves, and I would tonight, after the hangout, if the stores are still open, well, they're closing in 5 minutes. But go tomorrow morning. Go to a liquor store and look where the Vickers Cross is sitting on the shelves in the cooler, and you will see that it is getting very, very low in quantity. They just can't keep it on the shelves. And just because it's really good. And at 8.5%, it is very economical to slowly pound that back and have a nice citrus taste to it. Carry, I should have bought.
Yeah, very, very piney, hoppy flavor or hoppy smell to it. Oh yeah, yep, I like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Double IPAs, man, I tell you, it's good stuff. All right, so let's move on to our weird story of the week. Well, weird. It's not really weird. It's Ashley Madison. It's been going on for a couple weeks, and it's just this craziness. Like today, the CEO finally decides he's going to quit. But Carrie, I know you've been searching the database to see if your email is part of the leak. I know I have. And it was. Good thing you use a different email address, so it's not the one that people know. Anyway, part of that. There? Oh, I don't know. I didn't look for yours. I looked. But a lot of people were probably like me. Anytime a new site comes up, I tend to just create an account, see what's going on, and I can't tell you how many websites that or services that has popped up the last few years that I would just create it. So same thing with Ashley Madison, but knowing what it was, I used a burner email address. So I searched for that and it was in there. So, but the way that the site works, I tend to remember, if you really want to search or try to contact people, you did have to pay. You did have to verify the email and credit card. And that's why a lot of people were getting kind of nervous because those that had the verified addresses and credit card, you kind of know they were getting pretty serious on the site. It's not like, putting Tinder on your phone and just swiping, just to see if you recognize anybody from work. So the CEO finally quit. You got people who either curious, never did anything. You got people who paid money, not realizing that there were maybe 0.02% of actual women on the site. The rest were bots and fakes. You paid money to delete your account, but information stayed. And then what else? There was something else too. Oh, yes. One big scam. This guy made millions of dollars on a site that just, I should have just, I should just buy, I don't know. I'll create a domain tomorrow. It's called madisonashley.com, and it's just a form, and that's it. That's all I need to do, and I'll be raking in millions. I mean, that's basically what it was, right? So, Carrie, what do you think about these sites? Like, about this whole thing. Like, you know, Duggars, one of the Duggars, whatever, Brood, whatever, there, he had his account there, and now he's in rehab or some labor camp somewhere in California. What do you think, Harry?
Well, if you are that gullible to open up account and put your credit card information and everything else into it, and hopefully say that you're not going to get caught, then that's your own stupid fault. Um, People are willing to take your money no matter what you do or how guarded you try to keep it. But it's just one of those things that if it's there, somebody will hack it and somebody will get that information. So
I believe people in the carnival business call those people rubes or a sucker.
yeah,
A sucker.
yeah, and that's been going on for how long?
Quite a while. But
Yeah,
it's just the scope of it, the amount. And it was really funny how, and I haven't bothered getting the database, from the dark web and all that. I'm sure they're on torrents by now. Because what's really interesting is when you start looking at, people are saying, oh, look at all these media, all these ctv.ca email accounts or CBC email accounts. And then that got me thinking, there's a lot of people who use their work email account as their personal account. Let's say they've been in a job for a while and, they use the work cell phone as their personal cell phone. They start using their work email as their personal email. And nobody has done it here locally to see how many government email addresses they pop up or the ratio. Some places had a little bit of fun saying, ooh, this the most busy city on Ashley Madison was Ottawa. Who is it? And all that stuff. So, but it just shows you if you have time and you have a little bit of skills, you import the data in, you can find a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty crazy that way.
yeah.
Anyway, but then you get other sites. You get the Tinder. I just mentioned there. Yeah, you know what? I was in bed with the missus the other month, and we're talking about something there. I was reading a story on Flipboard, and I said, "Oh, Tinder," and she's like, "What's that?" Hang on, let me install it and show you, because the way that it integrates with your Facebook account, you don't have to do anything. You just tap, log into Facebook using your Facebook, and then you're in Tinder. And all of a sudden, I'm swiping through, and it'd be like, "Hey, she looks familiar," or "I did not know she was separated," and all this stuff. So I don't know if it's just the new age that we're in, that we have to use these apps to find out if people are single or not, or divorced, or I don't know what's going on. I'm all confused, Carrie.
Yeah, yeah. On the same thing, I saw another one reading earlier today. The flashlight app that everybody likes to download on their phones. So there's a problem with that one as well. So that it's while you're looking around in the dark for something that you lost, it's stealing all your information. So it goes the same way. So
That's crazy.
don't do it. Just keep your phone the way it is. Factory bought.
Just get an iPhone, because you get an iPhone and you have an LED light, and you actually have a flashlight icon built in. So actually, what? I've been using this flashlight. So when you open up your iPhone, you see there's a little flashlight icon built in. So you don't
but
have
that's what they were saying. It was linked into that.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Okay, I'll find it for you and show you.
I don't know. But I've been using, man. I tell you, LED lights, man. That's a lifesaver for a lot of things. All right, Carrie, we're gonna let's do a quick refresh on comments and stuff, folks. If you're watching, I know you're watching. A few of you are watching outside. Are you probably watching on your mobile device outside by the campfire, drinking beers, like a few people have admitted to a few weeks ago? Oh, Oh, this is so fun. I'm just checking out Twitter here, and one of the stories here, Globe and Mail. Moosehead is worried about the story that we talked about bootlegging, which is, i.e., going to Quebec, getting some cheap beer, and bringing it back to New Brunswick. It's called bootlegging now. Bootlegging is when you're in rural PI and you look for a house that have porch lights on at 2:30 in the afternoon. That's a bootlegger. Or you call a random number in Summerside and you want a sub with the works and you come back with moonshine. That's
Yeah,
bootlegging.
that's bootlegging.
Son.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, Friday night hangout hashtag, folks. You can check on that. We'll be just checking that. Carrie, are you refreshing the YouTube
I
page?
did.
See if you've got
I
anything
did.
going on there?
One
or-
comment. One comment
Okay.
from our
Okay.
our other beer commentator, beer aficionado, or Lee Russell.
Lee.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yes.
colorful. This one is a really good topic or a good comment that he has put up because he is a very colorful guy.
Yes, yes.
Just
Read
go back.
it. Read it verbatim. Don't
Says
censor.
regarding the MB Liquor thing, he says, I quote, "Load of horse shit." The MB Liquor will never go out of business just because people near the border shop in Quebec.
Exactly.
What a bullshit, slippery slope argument. Price isn't even the only issue here. It's the quality of the product, the diversity of the selection for a lot of people as well. Instead of some half-baked plan like the selection lager failure of a few years back,
Mm.
who
Yep.
not bring in stuff for people to drink in this day and age? I mean, it's end quote, because he is, you know, it's the same. It's no different than people mailing beer to somebody
Yeah,
to
beer
sample.
trades. Yeah. A lot of the beer geeks will mail each other care packages of beer. But here's the funny thing: last time I was up home visiting folks in the homeland, and as you recall, I live only about 30 minutes from the Quebec border. What do we end up doing the next day? Me and the missus, we take a nice little drive out to Quebec, visit some little things, and I stop at the Dépanneur Petro Canada in Digely, and I bring back a crap load of beer. So is that bootlegging, or is that, hey, you don't have this stuff at home, so I want to bring some of it? So
Yeah. Hey,
craft
in
beer.
1995, it was my first La Fin de Monde. Did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I brought back Naufrageur. I brought back some stuff from Castor. That's one that and it took a year for it to show up in Nova Scotia. It was like Lock and Barrel or Bolts and Nuts or some shitty name like that. So anyway, the point is there's the beer selection outside New Brunswick and as an extension outside of Nova Scotia, PI is a hell of a lot better. So we're getting pretty much our thumbs. We're getting pressed down by the man in the monopoly.
And it's not, hey, Jim. It's not just from New Brunswick. It's. We did the same thing in Ontario. I lived down close to the border in Pembroke, Ontario, and we would go across the river, grab a couple of cases of beer, bring them back for a little bit less price.
Well, let me tell you, next week I'm taking Keith, who's not in the hangout tonight. We're going to go out to the deep backwoods of Maine and to do our little annual camping trip there at the cabin. And you can rest assured that I will be bringing back alcohol from Maine into New Brunswick and therefore into Nova Scotia. How much? I will say it'll be the legal limit, but obviously going to be a couple more. Just saying. Any of you guys rat me out, you 7 people who are watching, coming for you.
Yeah, you guys.
Snitches get stitches. Let me tell you. Hey, okay, let's do. We did our little pause here, so we did our watch our drinking. We're gonna do the new bit, which is a plus ones, which is stuff that caught our eye as we reshared plus one and liked, favorited, all that stuff. For me, this week it is. Hey, it's 10 years of Hurricane Katrina. And I posted a link on the Google Plus event page here on retroreport.org. Very awesome website. It's a partnership with New York Times. They do these nice documentaries. I think it's 7 or 15-minute videos in length, and they just revisit a story that was like from the 80s and the 90s. And anyway, they did Katrina, and because it's been 10 years since we've been here in Nova Scotia, in 10 years that I first listening to podcasts, I remember very vividly walking around in Halifax listening to an NPR podcast talking about Katrina. It was a couple of weeks after the hurricane had passed. But you think back, Carrie, you think back watching the shots of people at the Superdome and how it was insane. You think back at it now, you're thinking about, Louisiana, New Orleans, getting pushed back to the medieval times in terms of getting stuff done, right?
Yeah, unfortunately for them, there were a lot of poor people that were affected by the whole hurricane, and they have not yet ever recovered from that. There are still people trying to help them get the suitable accommodations for themselves and for those people. 10 years, it was probably one of the worst disasters that hit that region. And for 10 years ago, they should have been well on their feet by now. Had it been somewhere else, like in Florida or in Texas, they would have been recovered and on their way. But unfortunately, that's what happens when the lesser people are affected by these things.
And I was listening to a podcast from, I believe, was On the Media. Hey, check that out too. That's a really good podcast. They were revisiting Katrina too, and they were talking. There was a court case that was going on right now where, and I don't remember listening to this the first time, but you had retirement homes where people were owners of these private care facilities decided to leave people there, and when the levee broke, flooded people. These poor people were in their beds and drowned, kind of deal. And you listen to the story, and it's like, well, we have had hurricanes come by before, nothing happened. And then it's like, well, you get people on a machine, and when the evacuation was starting, there's people that if you were to put on the bus to do the hours trek to get out of the city, they would have not have made it anyway. So that tough decision to just hunker down and hope for the best. It's, you hear all these gut-wrenching stories, other than what's his name there, the actor, Milk, forget now, married to Madonna at one point. Forget his name. Anyway.
No, but yeah, and when push comes to shove, I mean, the governor is doing that. He's saying, "What do we do? What's the risk? How do we do this?" And
I totally recommend people checking out retroreport.org, and you should see the Katrina there. All the stories are fantastic. Check it out. And that is my plus one for this week. Carrie, what is your plus one?
My plus one would be the Craft Canada Refit Your Park project. Craft Canada did a promotion for Refit Your Park, and a park over in Sydney, North Sydney, won it, which is pretty good because Based on the voter rating and everything else, we're like 40% more than any of the other ones. So I did about eight or 10 votes on it, and it just shows that there's a lot of people that were voting. Mind you, the park didn't need a lot of upgrades, so it's a well-deserved benefit for them.
All right, excellent. All right, that's good. It's good stuff. Make sure you put the link to that in the Google Plus page there, so we can get people to go and check that out. And well, you know what, folks? Since it's just the two of us tonight, we're still on the summer schedule. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be back to the normal fall schedule, and that means back to school. That means people have no lives on Friday. People are taking the last bit of summer, taking advantage of it. So I'd like to thank everybody who's been watching tonight. Numbers have been going up and down, but glad that you took some time to check out the Hangout tonight. The Best of podcast will be out probably within a week's time. This is where we take all the best bits, trim them down, usually around 20 minutes. It works out pretty good. I'd like to thank Carrie, the panel, for joining me on a Friday night, and also, once again, to you viewers out there watching us live. We'll see you next week, and we'll leave you with our standard farewell, which is good meeting. Good meeting. Good meeting, Carrie.
And I always say, good hangout.
Oh.
That's the way it is. In case you hadn't noticed.